you're going to want to put your headset on for today's video, because today I'm going to compare 3 really good microphones inside of my WhisperRoom, which is treated with 4 inches of Owens Corning sound insulation. So the 3 microphones we're going to listen to right now are this: the RØDE NT1. It's not the 1A, this is the RØDE NT1, one of the quietest microphones I own. This is what it sounds like right now. I'm also going to compare it to the Shure SM7B, which is what I'm talking directly into right now, and I'm going to compare it to my newest favorite. This is the Neumann TLM103. This is the anniversary edition, so it comes out to be about $1,300. So you're talking about $1,300 here, about $400 plus. You need a cloud lifter and change. So this is about between $399 for the mic plus another $150 to $200 for the stuff to make it work. And the RØDE NT1 kit, which comes with the shock mount and the pop filter. This will run you about $279. So we're going to contrast all 3 of these in the best possible scenario inside of this WhisperRoom. Now, one of the things we're going to try to listen to is the sound of silence out of each of the 3 microphones. That is to say, how much self-noise will it pick up? How much of the sound that you're going to hear is coming from the mic itself? Because believe me, with this sound insulation, it's not coming from outside. This is an ultra-quiet room. So let's start with the RØDE NT1, one of the quietest microphones I own. I'm going to stop talking and you're going to listen, if hopefully you have your headset on, to what it sounds like when I'm not speaking, just its own self-noise. I am listening technically to all 3 in my headset because that's the way my Zoom H6 combines it, but when I listen to the RØDE NT1 by itself, it's dead quiet. So this is again the sound of the RØDE NT1. And now we're going to switch over to microphone number 2, the Shure SM7B. I'm talking directly into the Shure SM7B. You'll notice, unlike the RØDE, it doesn't have or need a pop filter. It's built in. So I'm talking directly into the Shure SM7B. And I'm going to pause again, and you'll notice that although the Shure SM7B's, one of its strongest points is eliminating background noise, like let's say I'm in a loud room, and let's say I'm in a restaurant, I'm trying to do a radio show, it will eliminate a lot of that extraneous sound, because it's good at that, which the RØDE, by the way, doesn't do a good job, nor does the Neumann. But it does have a little bit of self-noise. So when I stop talking, you're going to hear the sound of the Shure SM7B making its own hiss. It's not a bad hiss, but you should be able to hear it. I want you to hear the sound of the Shure SM7B when I'm not talking. Now, it may be that if you don't have a good set of headsets and the volume's not high enough, you might not have heard it, but it's there. And when you compare it to the RØDE, it's just there. And the whole point of this is we want to see what it sounds like in comparison. Our 3rd microphone is the Neumann. I'm talking directly into the Neumann right now. Now, you'll notice again, I have a pop filter. In this case, it's a Stedman PS101. So I'm talking directly into the Neumann, which, by the way, is also one of the quietest microphones I have. It's really hard to judge whether the RØDE NT1 or the Neumann are equally quiet, but I could tell you this, they're very close. I'm going to stop talking. You're going to hear the sound of silence coming through the Neumann TLM103. I try to turn my head so you don't hear me breathing, because one thing I can tell you about the Neumann is it's really, really sensitive, and that's without even throwing a lot of gain at it. If I give it a lot of gain, it'll pick up the smallest things, like, you know, those ASML whatever videos or whatever they call it, where people just make little tapping sounds and they rub their face and they rub the microphone. This is a very sensitive microphone, but as sensitive as it is, if you put it in a loud room, it's going to really pick up everything. And so does the RØDE, by the way. The RØDE in a loud environment. Like when I first saw the RØDE, the NT1, I was in a guitar center, and they had all sorts of microphones on with headsets. And when I turned that one on, it pretty much amplified the sound of the entire store. You can hear people practicing music in another room. You could hear customers talking. You can hear little whispers of conversation all around you. The RØDE NT1 is really great at picking up everything in the room. The Neumann's also very similar in that regard. The Shure SM7B rejects a little bit more, at least in my own opinion, although I have to say this, they all reject what's behind them pretty well, because they are cardioid, meaning heart-shaped patterns where most of the action is in the front. But on a sensitivity level, the Shure SM7B is not quite as sensitive, or at least in my experience it isn't. It does like when you get right on top of it. Like my nose is actually touching it right now. And what you're hearing right now is literally me just plain eating the microphone in my face. It's touching my nose. Of course, you usually want to be 6 inches away, so this is the sound at 6 inches. And for what it's worth, nose touching the RØDE NT1 sounds like this. And my nose touching the Stedman pop filter on my Neumann sounds like this. Normally, you're going to be 6 inches away from all of them. So I'm going to do one last comparison between all three, where I'm centrally located, and you can hear what that sounds like. And I'm going to just talk a little bit and switch between the three microphones and see what you think. In fact, for this section right here, I'm just going to talk where I am right now, and I want you to guess which microphone I'm listening to. Is it the $279 RØDE kit, or the $1,300 Neumann, or is it the $499 Shure SM7B? Kind of hard to judge, but let's do one last test. This is the sound of silence from the Shure SM7B. This is the sound of silence from the RØDE NT1. And last but not least, my favorite new microphone, the sound of silence from the Neumann TLM103. I could tell you one thing. I have the hardest time telling between the Neumann and the RØDE when it comes to listening to silence. The Shure SM7B, I can definitely hear a little bit of the hiss. I don't know if you hear it. Let me know what you think in the comments. But what about the overall tone? What do you think? Is the self noise on the Shure SM7B is it noticeable enough? Does the tone of the Shure SM7B compensate for the fact that it isn't as quiet? The tonality when it comes to the Neumann is definitely really great. But I could tell you this, it's really hard to tell with the RØDE. So it's really hard to tell. If you had to record something right now, which microphone would you choose? Let me know in the comments.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. You know, you and I, we kind of get along so well. We should meet one day. I mean, we've talked about it a dozen times by now. Yeah, why not? A little, you know, go out to a movie or something like that. How's that sound? Oh, I should just let you know, by the way, the pictures in my profile, they're not exactly accurate. Well, the muscles you saw in the pictures, I photoshopped them in. yeah, I know. Yeah, and the head, I'm not good at Photoshop, so I left the head on it. Yeah. No? Well, how about coffee? Oh, hey, sorry. Where was I? Oh, yeah. I hope you liked the video, yada, yada, yada. Hit like, hit share, hit subscribe, hit the bell, make sure everybody sees it, share it with your friends, and thanks for watching.